Welcome back to Seen It Before, where we're probably going to say something stupid about your favorite movie because we've seen it all before. I'm Danny.
I'm Dan. He's mad.
Yes, I am mad.
He's mad. He's so mad we had to put a Kylo Ren poster behind him now.
Yeah.
You can barely see his face.
Yeah, so I think it's in this shot. You can see his face just barely in the corner from the movie that I think aptly describes the movie that we're going to talk about today. So,
the finale to the Haddonfield trilogy, as it's known as.
Really?
Yes, that you did not know that. I got it already with trivia. Yes, so Halloween Ends is our movie this week. We watched H2O last week, and let's just get right into this because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of controversy surrounding it since it's come out, and what it means for Jamie Lee Curtis and what's his name, the guy that plays
Jason,
the guy that plays Michael Myers.
Michael Myers, James Jude Courtney.
Courtney, that one. What it means for them and their future moving forward, and let's just get right into it.
No, I think we're fairly aligned on where we fall on this movie. It sucks. I think it's the worst one. Well, okay, maybe not the worst one. Worst one of this iteration, right? Because if you recall from the last Halloween H2O podcast, I said I've been thinking about the end of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, had a great cliffhanger. And I'm like, oh, wow, it's so crazy. Now Jamie's going to be the killer. But then I kept thinking, if they actually made a movie where Michael Myers isn't the real killer, that wouldn't be a good movie. And I said for years, I tried to come up with an idea to make it work. It does not work. And this movie decided to try it out, and it does not work. Like I knew. So,
all right. Well, let's start from the beginning of this movie.
Oh my God, I hate this movie.
The only redeeming part of this movie was the first part. It was a great start. I thought it was going to be a one-off random thing with, introducing this kid, Corey. He's a babysitter. Mm-hmm. This kid, Jeremy, who he's babysitting. His parents going out to some Halloween party, whatever. So they end up watching The Thing on TV, which is great, by the way. And
call back to John Carpenter.
Yeah. Then this kid decides to, be a kid, play mind games with... what's his face? This is a year after Kills happens, by the way, in 2019.
If I was him, I would definitely have the paranoia and anxiety of there's a serial killer loose in my town that just last year committed a series of murders.
Yes.
On Halloween night, and now it's the anniversary.
And we'll get more into the Haddonfield stuff later.
Right.
But so basically, Corey ends up trapped inside this door upstairs, and the kid basically locked him in, and he's like, "You little shit, let me out of here!" And starts trying to kick down the door, and it's like, what is going on?
And it's like,
And then he kicks down the parents come up the driveway. They come in at the wrong time. What's his face? Corey kicks in the door. The kid is standing right behind the door. Gets kicked down the railing and splat.
Yeah, and it's we saw it with Cop John earlier.
Cop John.
He he's just like, wow, that's a big flex on the house because it's like a 4-story house or something like that.
It was a wild.
And then there's a ladder. Or there's a stairs in the attic, so it's like another floor on top of that.
Yeah.
So, but the kid basically falls from
splat.
a 50-foot drop.
Yeah.
Right onto the hardwood floor, right as the parents walk in.
Yeah, and then the title cards come in and everything.
Yeah.
And
so I thought that was a nice opening. Okay, this is
different.
This is different, and then we'll talk about how it's stupid different later. But I like that they're going at a new angle where the paranoia that everybody feels in Haddonfield is from a year ago. Yeah, just trauma and how it builds. It's hard to explain because it's a nice idea, but it's not. If this wasn't marketed as a Halloween movie, the official Halloween movie, if this was an offshoot type thing, maybe it would work. But because I like the focus on the town being out in the aftermath and everything, and then Laurie struggling with that as well, and it was a cool opening, kind of stating that's what's going to happen.
It reminds me of Thor Ragnarok when Odin's Asgard isn't a people, it's a place. I'm just or a place, it's a people or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's kind of the route they went with this movie. That's the similarity. I'm just
But then they were trying to get down to the nature of evil. and like we basically watch an origin story
Evil
for
takes a new shape.
Fuck that line, dude. Dude, like, okay, so I don't know. Maybe we'll get to it later.
Let's start with Corey and Allison. Let's start with them.
Right.
So Corey basically starts kind of you kind of feel for him in the beginning because like it's a few years later and he's got all this trauma with him after killing that kid. He's like, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, everyone thinks he's a murderer.
Yeah,
it's very clearly like an accident, I'd say.
Yeah, and these fucking band geeks. Band geeks.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Band kids
How
are like,
they like jock band geeks,
Yeah.
first of all? How does that work?
First of all, like, even if they were jocks, that's not how kids act. Like nowadays, it's supposed to be 2022. Kids don't do that shit, you know. Like they don't just randomly bully some. Plus, he's like 23 at this time, like 23, 24.
Yeah,
so he's like an adult talking to these 17-year-olds.
Yeah, they're just fucking with them and just being like, "Oh, you're a piece of shit." And then of course Jamie Lee Curtis is at the gas station pumping gas at the same time. She's like, "Oh, what are you, the freak of the freak show or something like that?" They're saying,
We got a psycho and a freak show.
Psycho or the freak show, and it's like.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, I like that. Like, so this scene is pretty much the only scene that I really thought Laurie was Laurie. Like, considering everything that happened for 40 years, she was building up being a warrior, right? Then she was proven to be right that Michael is back out killing people again. And after Halloween Kills, I don't really buy that after being hardened for 40 years. That she's just complete 180 heel turn, like this like stay-at-home mom type person. I don't see that being part of her character.
Is in different ways, you know. She lost her daughter, now she has to care for her granddaughter, type of thing. That's kind of the whole thing they're going with that. Yeah,
they're going for it.
It's a stretch.
It's a stretch because what she can't do. I don't think you can change that much in 4 years compared to 40 years of being a certain way. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
And then, but then also, so this scene where she's like, okay, let's like pop their tires. So yeah, that's like Warrior Laurie after she's like, I buy that more than her being like stay at home mom. But then even when when they're like carving jack-o'-lanterns, which like, later on in the movie, she says weird line about like talking about grief and then show it your fucking tits and then says,
weird.
fuck
I was
you.
like, what is this? Some of the dialogue in this movie, I'm going to get into that a little more later because after we talk about the movie, I want to talk about some points in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, so yeah, Corey and Allison is her Laurie's granddaughter. So Allison works like what? She's a vet or something like that.
She's a nurse at the Haddonfield Memorial Hospital. Yes. Which I think is, that adds up for me. She lived through this horrible night of trauma, and now she wants to help others at the same place where trauma, like a lot of trauma happened, like where the guy in the last movie, he jumped off to his death, right?
But what doesn't make sense is how she falls for Corey.
Oh, yeah, it's like instant, man.
At first, though, like Laurie brings him home. He is kind of like normal at first. Like, I can see that. But then once he admits to her that he killed someone...
Yeah, I'd be fucking like, what happened? Like, I stabbed a homeless dude.
He gets dragged into a sewer by Michael Myers, who has been living in a sewer.
So where things take a fucking stupid turn.
I guess I can buy Michael Myers living in a sewer. I can buy that for 4 years trying to regain his strength after, getting beat to fucking hell from kills. Corey ends up literally attacking him. No, he gets choked by Michael. Yeah. And Michael stops. He's like he's transferring something to him. The evil. It's real weird. He's like, oh, I see me in you. It's real weird.
I want to be in the writer's room for this fucking, just like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if Michael like grabs him and he's all like, yo, I'm going to like you kind of like, I'm going to transfer it sounds so dumb saying it. How did that idea get greenlit? Yeah. That's the stupidest idea I've ever heard with this. Oh my God.
Yep. So Corey freaks the fuck out, gets out of there, and then ends up stabbing a homeless dude. So
yeah, and then because there's I don't know, man, but it's that's the main issue. Were they trying to make Corey at the end of the trilogy, the cap? This is the Rise of Skywalker / Last Jedi of the Halloween franchise, because they're like tacking on all this bullshit at the end and like, okay, we need to get the ball rolling, and like, why do this extra bullshit and why not just put a cap to the story you've been telling? Why do you have to, you know what I mean? Like, you're starting this whole brand new story with Corey just to kill him at the end of the movie. So that this whole movie was just bullshit. Doesn't make any sense. It would be one thing if they let him go have his own franchise. It would do horribly in the box office, but like that's a direction you could go in. But they realized it was too dumb of an idea. Too late, I guess, maybe. So I don't know.
Michael is a side character in this movie. In his own movie, Michael Myers is a side character. Corey takes the main plot line. Him and Allison. Not even Laurie. She's still not in the main plot line.
Laurie's just kind of like...
So she's a little more... She's in it more than kills. I'll give it that. But it's just... What are they doing? Like... What were they thinking? Because yes, this is the Haddonfield trilogy, where trauma comes over this town, and everybody's affected by it.
Yes.
So are they thinking
I get that.
Are
I
they
get that
thinking
part.
Haddonfield, or basically evil can transfer to anybody in that town, basically, and I guess Corey is the chosen one or something, and it's like
I don't know, man.
Because
If anything,
what is the thinking?
If anything, there's remnants of a good movie in here. Where if you completely get rid of Corey altogether, and you have, because they had I think a good beginnings of a plot line where Laurie's having the nice moment with Hawkins in the grocery store, then she walks out, she's all happy, and then she gets blindsided by this lady who's mad at her for teasing, in her opinion, teasing Michael to come out and kill everybody again. Yeah. So that would be cool if Laurie is the bad guy to the whole town instead of Michael now. I think that's a cool idea because that still focuses on the original Final Girl, and like it's the beginning of an idea. I can't think of anything to include Michael somehow. Maybe like she's like a boy or a lady who cried wolf or something kind of thing where he's killing people in secret, and she's like, I saw him, blah blah blah. She's crazy. Yeah,
and they also called it an infection at one point for Corey. So it's like he's infected by evil. And
I'm pretty sure it was
the cut on his hand, the whole thing. It's like
it just seems like
him evil.
It seems like a really weak like metaphor for like hate. You know?
Yeah.
There's evil inside of you that's infected. You're infected if you give into it. Like, guys, come on. And we're better than this.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to these Band Geeks for a second because I want to talk more about them. Okay. So basically, the first time we meet the Band Geeks, they bully Corey, and Corey ends up popping their tires with Laurie. Corey and Laurie popping their tires. Then when they throw him off a bridge, it's like, oh, come on, man, I just want to talk. It's like, oh my God, this guy is
that guy's so stupid.
Annoying.
And like doing like the on the nose dialogue for like, yeah, it's contagious, right? Your rage because your dad beat you up and you're just like him. I was like, it's like, oh, come on, guys. What the fuck are we doing here?
You don't need to say it.
Yeah.
Like, do you know
like, it's very obvious.
Movie 101, you don't explain everything.
So bad, dude. So then Corey gets thrown off a bridge, and he's like, "That's my story. He fell."
Yeah, and then they come back. Then at the end, near the end, they get fucked up by Corey.
Right, and that's the difference between Michael and Corey. He's killing for revenge. Michael's just killing to kill because he is the shape of evil. That's the whole point of the original.
Yes,
he kills because, like, that's it. Corey's like, these guys made fun of me and they think I'm mean, so I might just prove them. It's just,
he went after everyone that did him the slightest bit wrong, including the radio DJ too. Like,
it's such incel bullshit. Like, it's just so shallow, surface level bullshit. And like, man, and that's not even the worst part of this because it disrespects what came before as well. Mm-hmm. Like not like back at me right now. So I think they didn't ruin Laurie as much as I thought they would at this point. But when I watched this, towards the end of the movie, right before the third act, Laurie is about to commit suicide, right? And a movie's bad when they actually made me believe that she would do it. Laurie Strode would kill herself. Like they made me believe it because of how much of a train wreck the rest of the movie is. And then Michael, on the flip side, is getting beat up in a sewer by a 22-year-old wimpy dork.
To be fair, yeah, Michael's old, but like he's still evil. And then they made it as like as he killed again, like he killed the police officer in the sewer. He's like, I'm back, baby.
He's like he has like a weird seizure thing going on, and then he like comes back.
He's like recharging in a way, and I could almost believe that if they didn't have Corey in the fucking movie.
Like, dude, Michael, I think I counted them. Michael only gets like 3 kills.
3 kills.
Without any help.
Correct.
What the fuck? You know what I mean?
Out of the 18 kills in the movie, yes, there were 18 kills. We were both fucking wrong.
Yeah.
3 kills. 3.
Dude.
I really just don't understand.
After this movie, I really think like the 2018 version is like the end of that thing. And then my definitive end, I think, is H2O. Like that's a great ending. That's fine. Let's keep it there.
Well, let's talk about this ending. Let's talk about Laurie's ending first. So, who do you want to talk about, Michael or Laurie first?
I'm talking about Laurie.
Okay, we'll talk about Laurie. So she ends up with Frank, her love interest, that was kind of flirting with her throughout the movie and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a nice ending for Laurie. She's not dead, thank God. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I thought she was going to die in the first act, as I said in the preview. But
so glad it didn't.
Yeah,
I like her living.
I like her living too.
Like what they're doing, what they said at least with the 2018 one, they said it's a generational trauma, and it would only make sense for her to overcome it. She did. At least we can say that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So her ending was good. Michael's. So the fight between Michael and Laurie that was all hyped up in the preview.
It's the only promotional material we got. We got nothing about Corey and what the fuck this actual movie is about.
Yeah. But okay. Sidebar for a second. In the first trailer, you see Michael's hand at one point, and some people knew automatically it wasn't him because he wasn't missing fingers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, some people knew that automatically. I didn't notice that because I forgot about that.
I didn't really watch the promotional material because at the time I was excited to watch this movie.
The first teaser had that too.
Oh.
Yeah. So like you probably just didn't watch it enough. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's they kind of.
So there were warning signs.
There were warning signs. That's why there's a reason there wasn't much promotional material for this movie.
They're like, this movie is going to be bad.
I understood it's going to be bad. They just wanted to surprise us, and it really is not a good surprise.
Okay, on one hand, I can respect that it did such a big swing because it's like back at me, you know, like that movie.
Ding! How many times are you going to point back at you?
Because it's very apt. It's a very apt comparison for this franchise.
I know. You were talking about in the theater. You're like, are they going to Last Jedi us?
They're going to Last Jedi. They did. They fucking did. And I don't like that people like this movie because I know there's a few, and you know, it just sucks.
So yeah, Laurie ends up throwing a fridge on top of Michael, putting knives in his hands, and then literally just like slitting his neck, slitting his wrists, basically getting all the blood out
everything they can
to get the blood out of him and get the evil out of him. Yeah. Then they have this weird funeral procession for him.
I thought that was very interesting. I'm not necessarily sure if I didn't like it.
I'm not gonna say I didn't like it either. But it was very sudden. Like, how does all the town...
Yeah, there's like word just spreads like Michael Myers is dead.
Like, automatically. And then, but I loved that they threw in a fucking like car compactor. I'm like, oh my God.
It's like, that's one way to kill him. I mean, I guess.
Think he's coming back from that.
No, there's no way.
It's definitely definitive that he is gone in this trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Corey stabbed himself through the face, like with the knife like this, into his brain. That he came back from that somehow. And then Michael Myers himself, the shape of evil, snapped his neck. So
if he came back from the stab through the neck, he might, I don't know, man.
If he's like truly not dead.
But like, again, it would have to be a new reboot in that case.
I will not see that. I refuse to watch that.
Yeah. That's the only way they can continue that.
Yeah.
That.
Like, I don't know. It's like... they've been trying for years to get away from the whole Michael and Laurie thing, and I think it's a good idea to make it like because they did it with Freddy. They were able to get away from Nancy and just have him as the main killer.
Yeah, but he's easier to do because he could be in anyone's dreams. So like he's easier to kind of reboot and go with a different character.
It's a little different with Michael because he's like all about like evil comes home.
Yes,
so that's why like I can appreciate what Kills was going for with the town of Haddonfield. I'm like, oh, that's a cool thing we haven't seen before, or other than like a small mob coming around in 4, right? But 4 and a little bit of 5 and 6 went off the rails, just like this trilogy. 4 started off in a good place with like, oh, now he's chasing Jamie, so he's just kind of going after his family. So it's a new final girl. They've gotten away from Jamie or Glory. So it is possible to have him go after other people in work. So I don't know. If I was them, I would maybe, if it would piss off people in the moment, I think, but I would have Jamie die, or Lori die. I keep saying Jamie. I would have Lori die in 2018, then have Karen and Allison move away somewhere and be like, that's how the generational trauma spreads. And then, so they still live in like a suburban area to have the kind of feel, but not Haddonfield. And then maybe have Kills be like a continuation. You know what I mean? Like, and like we have 3 final girls per movie in the trilogy or something like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, see, it's hard to do it any of those ways. Like it's hard to continue this without Lori. And
I get it. But like I can't help but feel like they're Malek Akkad is going to be like, oh, this made a lot of money. It's already made its money back. It's exactly how it happened with H2O. They made Resurrection.
Speaking of,
so I have a feeling they're going to do it again.
Speaking of making its money back, quick trivia fact: Jason Blum reiterated that while this would not be the final film in the Halloween franchise, it is the final under Blumhouse. Blumhouse is done with it. The rights go back to Malek Akkad. So,
I don't know who's worse, because I know for a fact Malek Akkad was responsible for having LL Cool J and Busta Rhymes in H2O and Resurrection. He was personally responsible. He was like, "Hey, Dad," because his dad Mustafa Akkad had the rights, and Mustafa was through and through a producer. He was not a creative person. He was only interested in the money. So when he took, his son is like, hey, these cool rappers. I'm like, oh, great. It'll draw an audience. Let's put them in there. And then obviously we saw what happened. And that's the MTV-ification of Halloween. We had to completely reboot it with, white trash redneck bullshit for Rob Zombie's thing. And then they're like, oh, that's bullshit. Let's just go back to our roots, which and now we're here. You know how, like I said, like in the H2O podcast, I'm like, I wouldn't want to touch this one because I respect it too much. Because I truly do. I really think it's so hard to end this. And so on one level, I respect them for taking a big swing. On some level, I respect them for trying to end it definitively. But it's so clear, glaring flaws that I don't know how they weren't caught in the process. You know what I mean? It's like, and this is my favorite franchise, if you couldn't tell. So
no,
and I know it's a complete train wreck through and through. The only truly good one is like the first one and maybe the second one. You know what I mean?
There is an online petition to reshoot this movie out there right now.
That's dumb.
With as of recording, like over 1,000 signees, but
it happened, guys. Let's just get over it.
Get over it. It's
not like something like Star Wars where it could logically make sense in the universe to like have it exist as like not canon or some shit like that. It's so official in the Halloween thing. That's like, I'm one of the guys who's like, there's a way to redo the sequel trilogy if we wanted to. I'm okay with that because there's the dual timeline thing with Ezra going into the place without time or whatever it's called. They could redo it. In Halloween, they can't.
I mean, yeah, they had different timelines, but like different trilogies type of thing. Like they're all they all spawn from the first one.
If they want to do like a complete reboot again with this franchise, like I'm just a Halloween fan.
Gonna happen.
I'm gonna watch it if Michael Myers is in it. So if they just redo it, I'm like, okay, but I'm not gonna expect greatness like I thought this trilogy could have been. Really the only one that's good is the first.
2018 gave you false hope.
That movie was genuinely good. There was only one bad thing in it, and it was the stupid doctor
We've already been talking about it, but
Yeah.
the writing, the dialogue.
Writing, dialogue.
It's like a Riverdale episode, as Alyssa told me last night. And that is a very good way of putting this. It's literally like a freaking Riverdale episode.
Yeah. I feel like it's just a hollow shell. They just wanted to get this one out of the way.
Yeah.
Because they had all their creativity in the first one. I'm like, oh, this is a great follow-up and homage to the first one, as well as telling a slightly new story, telling a new message, theme, whatever. Then they're just like, well, we have to do 2 more. Fuck. You know?
Yeah,
So like it exactly models how the first 3 Halloweens went. First one, great. Second one, bloodier, less story, people are dumber, but it's still enjoyable to watch. The third one, complete fucking left turn. Nobody saw it coming. And, so I even think that, this is the douchey thing that I really hope they didn't pull a Ryan Johnson, literally, because they modeled the opening titles like the third one.
Yep.
This is an anthology type story in the Halloween universe.
I saw that. I was like,
Dude, like, if there's one thing you can learn from history, is that Halloween 3 Season of the Witch was not well received. Why? Because it wasn't a true Halloween film. If it was titled anything other than Halloween, it would be a well-known, maybe even a classic movie. Now people like it despite the franchise. They're like, oh, I'm a contrarian. Ugh, I like this movie. And like, that's perfectly fine. But you can't deny it's a huge speed bump in the Halloween franchise.
Yep.
So a lot of people don't consider it canon. I certainly don't. So like, that's what and then it sounds like the directors and writers wanted to do that again with this movie, with Halloween Ends. I think anyone who knows the source material would know that's a horrible idea. They went through with it, and it's not like, I'd understand if this was the 80s and they wanted to try that route out. But even back then, they knew that was a bad idea because they did a quick left turn to correct, or a quick right turn to correct it from the end of 4 into 5. Which 5, granted, is not the best. It's mostly Loomis yelling at a little girl for the whole time. But there's still like a somewhat classic type Halloween story there, you know? So they knew that like, this is our bread and butter, let's stick to that. And at the last movie in a trilogy, it's not the time to try some extra experimental stuff. It's not the time. You should be ending the story you started off with. Why is that so hard for people to get through their heads when they're making these movies?
yeah.
I feel like I haven't watched a good trilogy in 20 years.
This is what I'm saying. There shouldn't be 4 writers on a goddamn movie.
That too.
For a TV
Singular
show,
vision.
okay, sure. Because they can work on different episodes. But like, dude, you got to have one vision for this movie. You cannot be going in all these different directions and trying to set up sequels even like at one point, and like, and then not ending up doing it at the end.
Right.
It's like, what?
The reason the MCU is so successful is because Kevin Feige is the head of it, making the overall like final creative decisions. So it's like, okay, we're going to build up to this really slow. Plus, he's also talented at what he does. So that's why I don't think Zack Snyder is like a in-between kind of guy. Mm-hmm. Kevin Feige is a like overall person, you know? Vince Gilligan, great showrunner, because he knows he has a singular vision for what's going to happen to Walter White, and in Better Call Saul.
Yes.
He saw the beginning and end point for both of those TV shows, and he's like, okay, we're going to fill in the blanks correctly, like with care, in between.
Yep.
You know,
we're going to take our time, and we're going to get it right.
Exactly. That's why, like, I respect like Larry David, because he'll take 4 years off to write a good Curb Your Enthusiasm season, right? You know, and that's why like the, you know, Game of Thrones. That's the downfall of Game of Thrones. They rushed it. You know.
Why?
I saw a review where they said, like, Kills, the downside of Kills is the ending, because he's like definitively dead and then he's all of a sudden not, which I like, because that's sticking true to the Shape of Evil thing, you know? So they just beat him with a bunch of sticks. Like, that's not going to kill him, guys. So the guy said, I was watching, I think it was 3C Films. I don't want to credit the wrong guy, but 3C Films, I think he said, just tack the end of Halloween Ends to the end of Halloween Kills. You take out both bad parts, the first hour and a half of Halloween Ends and the last 20 minutes of Halloween Kills, and you get a decent movie out of Halloween Kills that way. And this is technically a trilogy. This is technically a quadrilogy that we're watching because the first one and then the next 3.
That could be a trilogy itself. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yes.
It's a decent idea. If you didn't have an idea for the end, that's the way to do it, to scotch tape this shit together, you know?
As I sent to our group chat earlier that you were reading when I deleted it halfway through because I said the wrong thing. Some of the headlines on some of these reviews on IMDb: absurd, strange, unfathomable, cheap and random conclusion to the franchise. Halloween ends in the toilet. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I totally agree, because I think the end, for what it was, like the last half hour, Michael versus Laurie wins, definitive death for Michael.
Yes.
That's the formula for a good ending.
Agreed.
Certain
how we got there,
how we got the first how we got there, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
We're so bad going in circles at this point, so but
the ending I think is okay. It's got the basic bones of a good ending.
It's got good bones.
Good bones. So when they say I think as when they're talking about the whole franchise, it ends in the toilet because it's like that's such a sour note to end on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I got 2 things to end on. What was your favorite kill, first of all?
Favorite kill?
Mine was the blowtorch to the mouth.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Dude.
Yeah.
That was the main band geek kid got fucked up by Corey.
I don't know. I want to say Willie. Is that his name?
Oh, is that the DJ?
The DJ.
Yeah, I don't
like. It was really gory though. It kind of turned me a little off.
Ooh.
You know, if it wasn't so like his jaw completely on.
Yeah,
you know?
his tongue on the record spinning around. I was like, oh my god.
Either that or the Jeremy dying right in the beginning, because we never see kids die in this franchise.
That was real good. Yeah. Though. Oh my god.
It was surprising. It got me.
It got you hooked.
It got me ready for the movie.
I was like, where is this going? And then bam, I was like, okay, that's where it's going.
I also kind of liked the callback to the first one where Michael with the nurse, he chokes her, pins her on the wall.
Yeah.
That's a nice callback.
There were a lot of callbacks in this. There were a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. This movie, I feel it was just made to be like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we just did a bunch of shots that homage the original with nothing on there? Yeah, no substance.
Yeah, they even did a poster at one point, Jamie Lee Curtis, her face in the knife.
Just like
it's oh my god, Jesus Christ.
I love the original that much where I will watch a movie about Michael Myers at least. Laurie, I know she's not going to be in it anymore, but she doesn't necessarily have to be in it for me to like it. So I'll watch the next installment whether they reboot it or. I don't know how you could continue it. Michael Myers in this continuity is dead, but I'm not going to watch it if it's fucking Corey or someone else.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care if he's wearing the Michael Myers mask. What an insult. You know, what an insult. It's not Michael Myers and he's wearing the Michael Myers mask.
Yep.
It's so stupid.
Yep.
It's like you're spitting on my face while I'm watching the movie.
You can't deny though, those kills they did were pretty fucking good.
That's why I'm conflicted, because I'm like,
damn,
those are good kills.
Fuck.
I wish it was Michael Myers doing them.
Final answer. What are you giving this?
I gave it 2.5 stars on Letterboxd. I do not like this movie. I think this might be my lowest rated out of any that I've rated in the podcast. So,
in the podcast, yeah.
Actually, no. Didn't I rank one movie like a 1 or something one time?
I don't know if it was Halloween, but
I think genuinely this movie's like a 60.
60. That might be the lowest you good on the podcast. Yeah,
it's bad. I don't think it's as bad as the producer's cut of Curse of Michael Myers or Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, because it's not painful to watch. Well, it is painful, but it's not I'm not sick to my stomach watching it. I can watch it, but I can just be really mad about watching it, you know?
Yeah, you're such a big fan. It kind of just you're just blinded by it, and it's hard. This movie has its moments that are really good. But it's just...
If anything, it's the production quality I like, you know?
The
acting is pretty good.
The acting isn't bad. It's not great by any means.
But there was one shot where, it had to have been, a trailer shot where they're, it was, Corey and then the two parents like over his shoulder, and he's like looking straight at the camera. He's like, "It's Halloween. We're gonna have some fun tonight." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck that. That's so bad."
Speaking of his parents, his mother. Oh my god.
Yeah.
His mother is a bitch.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm so glad that she died.
Oh my god.
She was awful.
Oh my god.
And what kind of weird fucking like Jeffrey Dahmer shit was happening? Like he's like she slaps him
And then kisses him on the lips.
and then the camera pans to her like step husband or her husband or whatever,
Yeah.
his stepdad. And he's like, "I hope you find love." And I'm like, "What the fuck did I just watch? Who decided that was supposed to be in the movie? What the fuck?"
I was just like, what?
It was like whiplash. Like what? You know?
Oh, that was the weirdest part. That was one of the weirdest parts of the movie. But
Yeah.
I would not give it that low. I think it's still passable. I'm going to give it probably 70 on the dot, honestly.
Okay.
It's still passable. But, like, dude, that writing, atrocious.
It's so bad.
So bad. Like, who signed off on the script? Why do the actors, like, go along with the script? Hey, can we improvise here? Show me your tits.
Yeah, if that was like,
I think that was Jamie Lee
I love
Curtis,
Jamie Lee
honestly.
Curtis,
I think that was
but-
her thing. But
so it sounds like she's getting a lot of like the reason why some of these strange decisions in there.
I don't want to say it was all her, but yeah, she definitely had
If-
more input in this movie.
I can just point out what I don't like, and like whoever it falls on them. That in particular was out of left field. I don't know who wrote that. Show grief your fucking tits and say fuck you. I'm just like, ugh.
Why don't you have Halloween 2018 on your Plex server? Because it's not fucking there.
Plex is really weird with it's on my
Yeah.
iTunes library, which Plex takes from. I don't know.
I wanted to watch it before we watched this movie.
Sorry, I don't know. Plex is
Kills
dumb.
was
I don't
there.
know. Well, because there's 3 movies in the franchise called Halloween. Plex gets confused. It's dumb. It's because it's a dumb search directory. You know, not my fault. Look at me.
I'm looking at you. All right. Anyway, I think we're rounding out this.
That guy.
There's not much more we can really talk about.
Yeah. This movie's bad. Don't watch it, or do whatever.
Don't
if you
pay
want
to watch it.
Yeah, don't pay to watch it. Yeah.
Peacock, I think that's a good plan to put it on this.
Do a free trial if you're truly interested. But
Honestly, I think that was a smart move by Universal/NBC.
for this particular movie, yes.
Honestly, they did it with Kills too, so I'm not surprised there either. Yeah, it's bad. Anyway, we're Seen It Before. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok with the handle at Seen It Beforecast. That's SCENE, It Beforecast. And on Twitter with the handle SIB_pod. I'm Dan.
I'm Danny. You can find me on Instagram at Danny_Was, my letterbox and serialized at DJ Was, or my YouTube channel, which is just Danny Was. Yeah, it's a good idea. Deep breath. It's all over now.
It's all over now.